everyone. This is Lucas Ross Sports, Lucas Ross, your commentator. We continue our 2022 college football predictions. The Nebraska Cornhuskers are up next. I'll give you my thoughts on this team, give you official prediction for this team, and go through their schedule, and I will go from there. But before we do that, let's look back at 2021 for this Nebraska team. In 2021, the Nebraska Cornhuskers went 3-9 overall. They had a really awful season. It was a downhill season, but the good news is for this Nebraska team, they had a lot of close games last year. They had a chance of winning all these games, but just not enough to really, be a winning program from last year's team. But I think my thoughts on this Nebraska team, I think they're going to be a lot better than people might say. I think people are overrating them just a little bit. I think, people are kind of overlooking them as well. But I think Nebraska has what it takes to be a really good team this year. It depends on what the schedule looks like and what it sets up for them. Let's take a look at the offense and defensive rankings. 71st on offense, and then defensively 36 on defense. Defense was really solid last year. I mean, this pretty much was a top 5, defense in the Big Ten last year. Offensively, if they improve that offense this year, this Nebraska team has what it takes to maybe win the Western Division this year in the Big Ten, but just really depends on what the quarterback situation looks like down there as well. I think the defense has what it takes, though, to really compete this year. That's a good number on the defensive side of the ball. I think they have a chance to be a top 30 defense this year. Points per game and opponents per game, 27.9 points on the offensive side of the ball, and then 22.7 points given up on the defensive side of the ball. Nebraska, those are similar numbers. I mean, they should be a lot better this year as we take a look at their schedule here for 2022. August 27th, there's that big game there at Ireland. It is against Northwestern. This is the biggest game, I think, to kick off the season. It's week number 0, so, I mean, it's a 12:30 Eastern time game as well. So it's going to be, no matter what time it is down there in Ireland, we don't know what time it will be down there when this game gets underway. But this game right here is going to be close. I think Northwestern is a 12-point favorite somehow. I think Nebraska probably is as well. But I think this game is a little bit closer than the, spread offensively. I think this game is going to go into an offensive battle probably. Defensively, I think it will be a defensive battle in the second half. I like Nebraska in this game. I think their defense does get it done here, and I think I'm going to go with the Cornhuskers to get the win over Northwestern. Northwestern and Nebraska are pretty even in returning production as well. Both teams have pretty solid returns coming back this year. I just love Nebraska's, defensive team here. I think Nebraska's defense gets it done, but it's a potential loss. To start out the year for Nebraska, don't get me wrong, but I like Nebraska in this game to win it here. I think they'll be motivated enough because I think this will get them in the right track. And I think whoever wins this game it just depends on what their season is going to look like. I think whoever wins this game, it is going to go to who's going to have the best season out of the Big Ten West this year. Nebraska does take care of business, though, on September 3rd against North Dakota, and then Georgia Southern on September 10th. So they start out with a record of 3-0 here in September. They begin their season, though, in August. Oklahoma is next here at home. Now, I go back to this game, and I tell you what, it's really going to be close. I said in my Oklahoma video, I think, it will be a close game. I think Nebraska's offense will, score some points in this game. It just depends on what the defense can do against the Oklahoma offense. And like I said, I liked Oklahoma's defense in this game. I know Oklahoma's got a new coaching staff. It's going to take time, but Dylan Gabriel coming over there after transferring from, UCF, I think he's going to be a great quarterback this year, maybe a top 10 quarterback this year as well. So, I think, Oklahoma is just a little bit better. I like Oklahoma's defense, though. I think it's what gets them done, and I think Oklahoma does win this one. But it will be a potential win here for Nebraska. Don't really sleep on this game. Nebraska gets a bye week now, rather early in the season, but they get to the month of October now, and they face Indiana at home. Indiana's a team that I'm not really high on this year. I know people are, think they're going to be better than people might say this year. I think Indiana will be better. They'll have close games this year, but I'm just not really high on this team after what's last season, looked like for Indiana. I think this year is just going to be another struggling season for Indiana. But I got Nebraska winning this one. I think it will be a close game in the first half, but I think with it being at home, I think Nebraska is really too talented, and I think they do defeat Indiana in this game. Next game on the road at Rutgers. This is another game that's pretty interesting. This game is on October 7th, so it is a Friday night game, so the Rutgers have a chance. This is one of those upset alert type games. If Nebraska was ranked in the top 25 by this point, I don't think Nebraska will be ranked, though, to be honest, if they have a shot here to maybe make the top 25, but just saying, it's one of those upset alert type games. I think this is one of those 50-50 type games as well, but I like Nebraska in this game. I don't think the Rutgers are all going to be that good this year. Some people think the Rutgers will be good, but I think I like Nebraska in this game, and I think they do defeat the Rutgers here on the road. Next game is on the road at Purdue, so you get back-to-back road games here with the Rutgers and then Purdue here on the road. This is another interesting game here. Maybe this could decide, the Big Ten West this year if Iowa's not that good. But I think Nebraska, they're just a little bit way off still from, competing in the Big Ten West with the top two teams. And this is one of those other upset alert type games if Nebraska was ranked in the top 25. And with it being on the road, I got to go with the home field advantage. It's a 50-50 game as well. And with those 50-50 games, I just go with the home team. And I think Purdue does win this one against Nebraska if it was a upset alert type game. Nebraska does get another bye week here before playing Illinois at home. So that really does help them out. This is a revenge game here for Nebraska as well. Illinois was able to defeat Nebraska last year. I think Illinois is going to be a little bit down this year, but still, I think it will be a close game. I think it's back and forth, but Nebraska's at home. It's one of those 50-50 type games, and I think Nebraska does win that one. I just go with the home field advantage. So I got Nebraska defeating Illinois here. Next game is at home against Minnesota. Minnesota is going to be an interesting team this year. They bring a lot back on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they should be really good on that side of the ball as well. But this is a home game for Nebraska. This is potentially a top 25 matchup as well. It's another 50-50 type game, but I'm seeing Nebraska, I could see them being an underdog in this game, but I think it's a 50-50 game. In my opinion, I think it's going to be a 50-50 game. And I think Nebraska, with them being at home, I think they'll be fired up for this one. And I think they do defeat Minnesota. Like I said in my Minnesota video, with it being on the road for Minnesota, I just think it will be a tough place to play. And I think Nebraska does win that game against Minnesota. I think the home field advantage is there for them. And I think they do defeat Minnesota here. So a potential top 25 showdown here between Minnesota and Nebraska. And then there's that game on the road at Michigan. I think the good news is for Nebraska, you don't have to play Ohio State this year. Any other team out of the East that's really tough, like Michigan State as well. They don't really have a, hard draw out of the Big Ten East this year. They just have to play Indiana, Rutgers, and then here's Michigan on the road. Michigan's going to be another team that, has a lot of question marks. The defense has a lot of question marks. This is a potential win here for Nebraska, but like I said, with it being on the road, I don't really see Nebraska, going in there on the road and defeating Michigan. It's probably going to happen, but it might happen, but I just like Michigan in this one, and I think Michigan should be better on the defensive side of the ball as well. Nebraska, though, will be close in this game, but just not enough to win it. Wisconsin is next here at home on November 19th. Wisconsin is a team that, has a lot of question marks. I have a lot of question marks about Wisconsin as well. I don't really know what they're going to look like this year. All I know is they lose quite a lot from last year. They were up and down last year as well for Wisconsin. I think Nebraska, though, with it being at home, they'll be fired up after that Michigan loss. And I think they do defeat Wisconsin here at home on November 19th. I just think that with it being at home, I think Nebraska's defense will step up. I think Nebraska's defense is really going to be a top 5 defense this year. Maybe a top 10 defense. You never know. I think they have a shot, though, to maybe be a great defensive team. Next game, and then there's that last game on the road at Iowa. This game is on a Friday night as well, so Iowa is going to be an interesting team this year, a team that I'm really high on. I just think with Iowa's schedule, it really set up well for them to really, face teams that are really, not that tough. Let's be honest. I think Iowa's schedule is really not that tough, to be honest. Nebraska, though, they will be close in this game, but with it being on the road, I think Iowa does win this one, and that does hurt a little bit for Nebraska to lose that last game, but it's still enough to really get to a bowl game. So for my overall prediction for the Nebraska Cornhuskers is 8-4 in 2022. I think Nebraska fans thinks that's a positive prediction there. Michigan, Iowa, Purdue, and Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a potential win. Don't get me wrong. I think Nebraska can go 9-3 as well. I mean, 10-2 is possible, but 7-5 is possible if they lose to Northwestern in that opening game. But I think this schedule really sets up nicely for Nebraska to have a good season. I just think Nebraska will be a lot better than people might say. I think they'll be a lot better than last year. So 8-4 is my overall prediction for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Stay tuned here for more on Lucas Ross Sports.